on our night of comedy on Remember When, which is rare for you and me. That's why we're joined now by somebody who does it well. Marty Fields, hello.
Hello, Simon. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Oh, happy Easter to you and your mum, Marty, and your family, of course, Jenny and so on.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate it very much.
Are you working tonight? Are you doing the festival?
I have a night off, thank goodness. I've been doing every night. We're at the Comics Lounge in North Melbourne, and it's a 500-seater, and it's been nearly sold out the whole season, so I'm absolutely exhausted, as a matter of fact.
If there's any seats left, is there a number of people can book?
Yes, there are, and I knew you'd ask me that, and I can't remember off the top of my head. But hang on, I'm grabbing it out of my mobile.
Hang on.
Else while I find it.
Is that the Comics Lounge in Errol Street?
That's it.
That's it. Well, the number will be 93. I hope this is the right one. 9348 9488.
It is the right one.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I haven't caught you in the Herald Sun lately because I love that page you write.
Yeah, but they've cut back their budgets, unfortunately. They've gone to in-house journos.
Well, I don't know if you heard me say on air the other day, but I hope you flattered. I said three of my very favourite comics in Australia, stand-up, Paul Martell, Don Jones and Marty Fields.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, well, and I'm still to see your full floor show. I'm looking forward to that. I think I'll engage you for my wedding, all right?
All right, very good. What night is it? I'm busy.
If we live long enough.
Yes, exactly.
Now, Marty, I have to... Now, before I actually go on to ask you what you find funny, what your influences are, I do have to point out that I get great enjoyment for younger people listening who are on Twitter, following your tweets on Twitter. You are at Marty Fields.
That's right.
And every tweet is just hysterical. A particular favourite of mine the other night that came through, you tweeted that Rod Stewart's wife has just given birth to Rod Stewart's next wife. Which I thought was fabulous.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, lots of laughs.
Hey, what makes and who makes you laugh?
Oh, goodness me. So many comedians over the years have made me laugh. I mean, John Newman of Tiki and John's was a huge influence on me. Fantastically funny man. I mean, my father and Mum, both wonderful comics. And it's interesting, somebody said to me, how do you just make the normal seem funny on stage? And it's a bit like if you're Greek and you're born in Australia, but your parents are Greek, you'll still speak with a bit of a Greek accent, even though you don't speak Greek. I guess I speak with a comedy accent.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? It's just that general influence of being around it all the time, just knowing how to time something, knowing how to exclude the words that aren't funny in a joke and just purely use the ones that are required.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, actually, because the circle of friends your mum and dad mixed in, as well as their own, of course, incredible talents, as they were, as I say, the circle of friends that they had were all showbiz people as well.
Oh, indeed they were. I mean, when I was growing up, I was around Mum and Dad and people like Honest John Gilbert and Sid Halen and Buster Fidesz and wonderful comedians, Vic Gordon, Cole Elliott, Ernie Bourne, just very funny people, generally funny people. And the thing is also, I think with comedy, just from my perspective, I think as a comic on stage, you can pretty much have a go at anything, but it's easier to have a go at yourself. Because it's very difficult for people to get offended if you're bagging yourself. So the theory I've always had is you talk up to the audience. You present yourself as somebody more flawed than they are. You're either drunker, shorter, fatter, uglier, you've got a limp, you're missing an arm, you've got something wrong with you, you've got a bad haircut, you might be a rougher face, or who knows. But it's interesting, I see a lot of young comics who are quite clever and have got very good material, but they present too well on stage. Like they drive a Porsche, they've got a beautiful girlfriend, they've got a university degree, they've got plenty of money, they own an apartment. And that's the stuff they talk about. I was in Sydney at the Comedy Store a while ago, and this kid said to me, he'd just done quite a nice little set, but he was very good looking, and his set was all about how well he was going, pretty much. It was very clever, but he sort of talked down to the crowd a little bit, and I present on stage as somebody who's got everything wrong with him, and he said to me, "Do you think I'm a good comic?" I said, "I think you're a good comedian." He said, "What's the difference?" I said, "Well, comedians say funny things, comics say things funny."
Yes, that's very good. I like that.
Now, can I ask you something? Most comedians and comics I've met or work with are manic depressives, but you seem to be so normal.
It's a fabulous facade that I know, but a conjure, isn't it? No, look, I think it's because they haven't been in it all their lives, and they see it as being something perhaps more than it is. I'm not really sure, actually. It's just so normal to me. It's my whole life, you know. So every time I come off stage, you know, the audience are rapt. I've had a terrific show. But the next morning I can't point at what I've created. I can't say I made that, or I cured that disease, or I helped that person, or I dug that hole, or I made that bridge. It's so intangible that there really shouldn't be a lot of ego attached to it.
Yes, there's nothing solid that comes out of it.
No, but your legacy is your joke books.
I suppose so. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm selling them at the gigs too, which is funny for me because I don't normally do that, but they're selling really well as well. I'm really enjoying the season at the lounge though, because it's solid. It's nearly every night, and it's a full. You know, I do nearly an hour, and I'm on with Limo, who's a great act, and a guy called Jacques Barrett from Sydney, who's also terrific. And I'm closing the night out, and by the time they get to me, if I'm not good, they're going to go because it's late, you know. So I really pump myself up more so than I ordinarily would, and I just go out there, and it's a very good room to do comedy, and I've worked quite hard on this set. As you know, I don't work blue, which is quite refreshing in the festival because you never know what you're going to strike when you walk into a comedy festival show. Sometimes it can get a bit hard on the ear if you're not used to that sort of thing. But because I'm primarily a corporate comedian, I think what's the point of working blue if you don't normally? So I sort of focus my material and just. So I get families sometimes bringing their kids in to have a listen to me.
Which is good.
You ever move over to the piano during your act?
There's no room for it, Phil, unfortunately. Not only physically, because I'd have to get it up the stairs, but it's so full with the other stuff that I'm doing. I do a thing about the nations of the world going to the Olympics, where I actually list nearly 200 nations in order of the way they came, because they changed the order at the Chinese Olympics. They changed it to their own symbols, and we used to be fifth, and then we got moved to third last, which just wasn't fair. So I list the entire nations.
It's sort of like I've been everywhere, man.
A bit like that, but they don't rhyme.
When you're on a bill with others, you know, like you do the hats off, is it the AIDS charity thing? When you're on a bill with others, do you all sit around and chat about comedy, or do you talk about other things?
Sort of. Sometimes you do, yeah. It depends how well you know them. I mean, I know most of the acts in Melbourne quite well, and in Sydney acts, but then you'll strike a Brisbane act you only know from reputation, or an Adelaide act, etc., and you tend to just sort of talk about mutual friends. You don't tend to talk about comedy per se, but rather, how's so-and-so going? Or, it's more about the people, that your mutual acquaintances that you haven't caught up with for a long time. I ran into a friend of mine last night at the Hi-Fi Bar, which is sort of ground central for people. When you finish your show, you go in there into Swanston Street. Chris Franklin, I'm a bloke, I'm an officer, that guy, right?
Yeah.
He's had a lot of trouble up north. He got in a bit of strife with the police and all sorts of stuff, and it's funny, his mum, he was working in Western Australia, and his mum rang him because she got into genealogy, and she rang him and she said that your great-grandfather was Indigenous. So he's just found out that he's 1/16th Aboriginal, which is fantastic, because he does a lot of work with the Indigenous communities, and now he can actually put his hand up as being a genuine, Indigenous heritage.
How good is that?
Oh, he was amazed. But the funny thing was, guys, he was on the mobile phone driving through Western Australia, and he got the news, and 2 minutes later, he was listening to his mum telling him about it, and a policeman pulled him over for talking on his phone. And he said, mate, I've been Aboriginal for 2 minutes, and I've already been arrested.
Marty, we have to go because news is next. Thank you very much. Great to talk to you.